This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. In that 3-month period, we'll call it January, February, March, is this the most eventful run up to Mania ever at this point? Did any WrestleManias after it even compete? I mean, when you're talking about, you know, Mark Mero's coming in and, Mankind's coming in, Stone Cold's changing his name, the Warrior's back, Roddy Piper's back, just on and on. It feels like, man, there's a lot of moving parts here in the first quarter of the year. And I don't know that that's necessarily the case with any WrestleMania before or after.
Yeah, I'm going back trying to think, and with the exception of probably WrestleMania 9, where, you know, you had Yoko was new and Brett was different and new. Probably not. And not only that leading up to it, but the change that was coming afterwards.
Yeah. With Razor out and Diesel out. Yes. I mean, there's so many. It's just, I've been so excited to cover this one for a long time, and I'm glad we waited till the 25-year anniversary. We're going to get to the pay-per-view. Before I do, though, I want to ask, was there any hesitation about putting Shawn and Brett on for 60 minutes on top? I mean, I know that Pat was sold. Was Vince sold? What we've heard, and I don't know if this is fair, and I'm sure you're going to set me straight, but we've heard a lot that Vince is not a wrestling fan. I mean, sure, but it's the backdrop to the stories. He wants to make movies and tell stories, and he's into the characters, and that is what WWE is. But this is 60 minutes of wrestling. Did he think, given that his bread and butter was like a 7-8 minute Hulk Hogan match for so many years at WrestleMania, that this was a major risk, or not so much?
Not so much. And I think the myth that Vince isn't a wrestling fan is just a myth. And that's a label that people that don't know him put on him.
Right. Well, let's talk about Justin Hawk Bradshaw, as it was. He debuts on Superstars here between the Rumble and WrestleMania. Did you ever imagine when you first saw that big bastard running around the locker room, he was going to have the career he had? Because I don't think a lot of people could have ever predicted what he became when you see just the initial version of him in the WWF.
Actually, I thought the initial version was going to be a huge megastar.
Yeah. And
it just never really took off. And I don't know if it was too stereotypical and too much of a clone of Stan Hansen, a younger version of Stan Hansen. To me, that's what I always got out of it, but I thought that John did it really well. And I tell you this, in meeting John from day one, you knew that he was going to be a huge star just because of the drive that he had in him and the no give up attitude.
Arrowhead Pond, Anaheim, California. Let's sort of walk it back a little bit. You know, WrestleMania 3, we all know, huge show. And it's in the Silverdome. WrestleMania 4 and 5, Trump Plaza. WrestleMania 6, the Sky Dome in Toronto. 7 was supposed to be the Coliseum. Plans change. 8 in a dome in Indianapolis. 9 outdoors in Las Vegas. 10 Madison Square Garden. 11, it felt like the company knew, hey man, we're not where we used to be, so let's control our costs a little bit. You do it in Hartford, Connecticut. And now we're in Anaheim, California, not Los Angeles, but Anaheim. Is this just strictly based on you get more favorable terms in Anaheim than you might LA?
No, I'd say LA and Anaheim are probably the same. I think that more than anything, there was a move there at one point to go to fill up smaller buildings at maybe a higher price point.
Right.
And you make just as much as you would in a stadium. I think that the stadium aesthetics are better sometimes, but the feel for the performer and the look overall and just the overall cost in general of putting together an arena show versus a stadium show are considerable.
Talk a little bit about the Observer. They write, the Huckster Nacho Man Billionaire Ted skit match will be on the pregame show, which pretty much removes the legal threats from that skit by using the likeness of Hulk Hogan, Ted Turner, and Randy Savage, all owned or controlled by WCW as part of an endeavor in which the public pays for it, which the pay-per-view falls into, but a free show doesn't, they would open themselves up for potential legal action down the road. So the idea is there was a match originally promoted that's going to have Nacho Man and Huckster and Billionaire Ted in a match on the pay-per-view. Now it's the pre-show. Did the possibility of litigation, since you guys were already thinking that way, cross your mind?
No, really and truly, the whole thought process behind it was, goddamn, let's just get over with this and move on. And no one was going to buy the pay-per-view for that.
No, correct.
And it was more along the lines of, just let's get it over with, put it on the pre-show, be done with it, and just be done.
So by this point, you guys were just frustrated with the whole thing, but knew you had to have a payoff. So let's just get it over with. Okay. Is that one of those deals in hindsight where it seemed like a good idea on paper, but then it was just a fart in church? Like nobody cares.
Well,
what are we doing?
It's funny maybe one or two times, but then it just became, okay.
Yeah.
Now
we're over it. Yeah. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.